You may have come across the saying that governance is not an end in itself, it is merely a means to an end. And while political positions might be enviable, they are only vehicles to a destination. So no matter how big a political institution or personality might be, what determines success is how well they are able to change the lives of the people they serve. Now, as simple as that might sound, we're not entirely there yet. And the question is, where are we? We'll get to that in a moment. You're welcome to Sunday Politics on Channels Television. I am Kayode Okikiolu here at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. Well, this past week has had its share of political action with various accusations and, of course, counter-accusations coming from the usual players and a few newcomers, you might say. And there is also the big issue of the incoming National Assembly. Tonight on the program, we'll be demystifying the leadership race for the 9th Assembly because it's very easy to get lost in the flurry of issues surrounding the tussle. On one hand, you have a substantial number of contenders who all appear viable. Now, some of them released one statement or the other during the week expressing their interest and, sort of reeling out their CVs. On another hand, there's the power play between those you might call political heavyweights. Now, there's various consultations going on as we speak, and not to talk of the position of political parties and even the perceived interference by external forces. Well, it's a lot, and that's not even the half of it. But tonight, we do our best to simplify the issues just for you. So first, let's take a look at the contenders again. There you have it. We begin with the House of Representatives. There you have those that are vying for the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly in the 9th Assembly. You have Honorable Nkiruka Onyejocha from Abia State, that's of course the Southeast. Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila from Lagos, that's Southwest. Next to him, we have Honorable Ndudi Elumelu from Delta State, that's from the South-South, and Honorable Abdurazak Namdas from Adamawa, that's in the Northeast. Next up is Honorable Bago Mohammed from Niger State, that's North Central. And Honorable Yusuf Yakubu Buba from Adamawa State, that's in the Northeast. Let's head over to the Senate and show you those contending. There you have it. We have Senator Ahmed Lawan from Yobe State, that's the Northeast, of course. Senator Ali Ndume from Borno State, that's also the Northeast. And Senator Oji Uzokalu from Abia State, that's the Southeast. And Danjuma Goje, Senator Danjuma Goje from Gombe State, that's also from the Northeast. So there you have 3 senators from the Northeast and 1 senator from the Southeast vying for the position of the Speaker, or the Senate President, I should say, of Nigeria's Senate. So tonight we have representatives of the 2 major political parties in the country on the program, of course, in the National Assembly. Honorable Emmanuel Okejev is a PDP senator-elect who joins us from Abuja. And next to him is Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, a member of the APC representing Niger State in the Senate. Thank you for joining us on the program tonight, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Nigerians would really like to know at this point, where are we when we talk about the race for leadership of the 9th Assembly? At what stage are we, especially from your personal and party viewpoint? I'll start with Honorable Okejev. Where are we right now?
Well, as you well know, the convention is that the party with the majority, we produce the leaders, the presiding officers of both chambers. That is the convention, even though there's no law as such backing that, but it's the convention, because if you look at Section 50, it says that the president, Section 50, subsection 1A, says that the president, there shall be a president and deputy president of the Senate who shall be voted from among the members of that House. Right. Section B says the same thing of the Speaker in respect to the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So it's not a political, but conventionally, it is the majority party that produces the presiding officers of that chamber. So to that extent, I would say that the ball is in the court of the majority party, in this case the APC. Of course, we of the PDP would not be idle bystanders. We will definitely be involved because each and every one of us will have their vote to cast. But to the extent that I'm not aware that the list that you have displayed on the screen, nobody from the PDP is contesting for either the Speaker or the Senate President. So to that extent, we will be waiting for that day to cast our votes. Okay,
now we'll get to the role of the PDP in the build-up to who gets to emerge as leaders in a moment. But I'd like to get Senator Abdullahi's opinion as a party member and as a member of the National Assembly. At what stage are you right now?
Well, thank you very much for having me. Let me say that for me as a city senator and returning senator, definitely the 9th Senate, I'm looking forward to it. And we are rooting for a particular candidate in the person of Senator Dr. Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, who is the current majority leader in the Senate. And of course, if I say we here, I mean some of us who are senators-elect from the same party who actually felt it is time for us to sit down and ensure that there is stability, there is unity in the 9th Senate. I think we have decided to throw our weight behind Senator Ahmed Lawan. And of course, like you very well know also, it's in the public domain that both the party and the presidency are also of the same opinion that Senator Ahmed Lawan should be our Senate President when the 9th Senate is finally inaugurated.
Now, Senator Abdullahi, don't you think that's some form of interference? I mean, that has come up a lot of times. Don't you think that's some form of interference, especially now that you mentioned the presidency and, the party's leadership?
Well, the beauty of democracy is that everybody is entitled to his opinion. And for us, it was a recommendation that the party made. That was the language they used. They've not told us that this is your Senate President because they know there is a process. And within that context, those of us who believe that, yes, we want this distinguished senator to be the leader of the 9th Senate and by implication the 9th Assembly, we have taken it upon ourselves to go around and we've been consulting the different stakeholders, the senators-elect, and it's an ongoing process. And I want to assure you that in doing this, this is to show credence to the fact that we believe the senators-elect are the ones who will work with him, and he will be the one to work with them. And to that extent, we must build consensus, we must build confidence, we must bring our thoughts together so that at the end, all of us in the 9th Senate will be able to work truly for Nigerians. And our campaign mantra in this regard is a Senate that works for Nigeria.
Okay.
I have been a member of this 8th Senate, and I know the difficulties that we encountered. And definitely, we must learn from whatever good or bad we have experienced. And to that extent, I will tell you, anybody who is very serious with his representation will surely want to give back dividends of democracy to his people. I will not want to have a situation where we find ourselves
Senator Abdullahi,
fighting.
Senator Abdullahi, if you may, we'll still get to the 8th Assembly and some of the issues that came up. But I'd like to take Honorable Orkajev on this one. You are from the North Central region, if I'm correct. Same with Senator Abdullahi, except that you belong to different political parties this time around. I'd like to know the PDP's plan. What zoning formula is the PDP backing for this leadership positions?
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you on that question because as far as I know, the party has not started to take a decision on any zoning formula. Particularly, like I said before, that this first and foremost is the domain of the ruling party because no candidate from the opposition PDP is contesting. So we are watching the scene to see. Definitely, in the course of time, the PDP will take a decision, and all of us who are members will stand by that position. You see, the problem I've always had, there's no responsible party that will be uninterested in who emerges a leader of his party. I mean, a leader of the assembly. If that party has majority or even minority membership in that house. The problem that we have, and I believe that's why we are here discussing it, and that's why even within the APC, ruling APC, there is no agreement. The problem is that the aggressive manner that the leadership of the party has pushed it in the public domain, I've always said that this should not be a matter for the headlines. This is what we want. If you don't do this, these are the consequences. I think this is what is causing all the resentment that we have. In due course, the PDP too will sit and take a decision, but I don't believe it should be something that the headlines should be carrying, that this is where the PDP is going, this is where the APC should be going. That is not, these are stuff that you sit and determine and persuade members. You don't come out like a headmaster talking to kindergarten pupils and begin to, shout it down or ram it down their throats. That is the problem, and that is what the PDP is trying to avoid.
Okay, Senator Abdullahi, you've listened to Honorable Okajev and his opinion about what's happening in the APC. Is that what's happening?
Well, like I said, the beauty of democracy is that every one of us have his own side of the story. Every one of us has his own perception. To the best of my knowledge, nobody, ran everything through our throat. What happened clearly was even before we were invited. In fact, I recall very vividly, we were having a media chat in Lagos that very Monday when we were told that, of course, we were invited for a party. And we were in Lagos simply to sell the candidature of Senator Ahmed Lawal. And that is what we have been doing. And we have been meeting all the, stakeholders, from the senators-elect to all the people we feel, one way or the other, tangentially or, remotely, have a, say in what happens.
But is the APC jittery at this point? Sorry to butt in. Is the APC jittery at this point that there might be a repeat of what happened in 2015, especially because of reports of disaffection among members? Is the APC jittery?
Yes, I think we need to be, the APC is not jittery. I think we need to be very, very open and transparent about this issue. If we look at the circumstances leading to the inauguration of the 8th Senate and the circumstances as we have it now leading to the inauguration of the 9th Senate, they are not the same. In the 8th Senate, leading to the inauguration of the 8th Senate, we had a party that said, look, they are open to everybody. And of course, even Mr. President at that time said, well, he will work with whoever emerges. But of course, the 4-year experience is there for us to judge and to know whether that has been helpful. And I think it's within this context that the party itself felt, look, they just have to come out and make their position known. And they've made their recommendations known to us. And we are consulting among ourselves. And I will tell you, majority of APC senators are with the party. And I stand by my word, and I stand to be corrected. Majority of them are with the party.
Now, I'd like to read something to you, Senator Abdullahi. Now, this is from Honorable Mohammed Bago, that's in the lower house, the House of Representatives. He's an APC representative from Chachanga Federal Constituency of Niger State. Now, this is what he said. He said that the Southeast and the North Central were the greatest casualty of the zoning formula of the APC. He went on to say the North Central geopolitical zone brought the 3rd largest vote to make APC government in 2019, more than the zone that has produced the vice president. This is yet again talking about zoning. And you say that most of the members of the APC are on the same page. But this is a member of the party that is not on the same page, as you say.
Well, I think you need to make it a very clear thing. I'm in the Senate. Bagbo is in the House of Reps, and I'm not speaking for the House of Reps.
We are members of the National Assembly.
And within that context, as far as I'm concerned, I am looking at what is happening in the Senate, because I do not have a vote to cast in the House of Reps.
But you're a member of the National Assembly.
That based on the consultations that we have been having so far, I want to assure you that majority, and I stand by my word, even the PDP senators, we are in touch with them, we are consulting them because they have a right. And let me say very clearly that yes, when you hear a party man talking, he's talking as a party man. But we are parliamentarians and we know the norms and conventions. My good friend has just told you that it is the norm and convention that the majority party provides the leadership. It's not written, but that is the respect that Parliament gives to itself. And I think when you say norms and conventions, they are things that are cherished within the confines of parliamentary practices.
All right.
So, and I will assure you that for us, this far as we are speaking, we are talking to every single one of the senators. And I want to assure you that different people are talking to different, senators-elect.
All right.
And what is important is that we want to build a consensus so that on that very day when we come to the Senate floor for inauguration, we'll have a rancor-free and a straightforward leadership contest so that the 9th Senate will be inaugurated on the basis of stability.
Okay.
And we can hit
let me go to Honorable Okajev now. Let me go to Honorable Okajev for a moment, if I may. Now, people have said the PDP might be the power broker in this particular situation, especially because you have a lot of people from the APC coming out to say, I want to be, as it were, in a position of leadership. I'd like to ask you, what is the PDP looking for? What is your agenda in this coming 9th Assembly?
Well, when you say agenda of the PDP, I suppose you are talking about those of us who are going to be in the 9th Assembly.
Yes, and what are the traits you're looking for? And what are the...
Let me just put it this way.
All right.
The APC has enough majority in the House of Representatives and in the Senate put up leadership of those houses without even any contribution. Even if the PDP decides not to vote, they can still produce the Senate President and the Speaker. The problem, however, is that they cannot even agree amongst themselves. If they were agreeing, there would be no problem. The problem is that they cannot even agree. And since we also have a role, that is members of the opposition, the PDP in this case, also have a role to play, we are going to play that role. At the end of the day, we'll look at the candidates and size them up and determine the best person for the job and the person who will take the assembly to the next level and indeed the country to the next level. So I think that there's nothing more than trying to have the best leadership for the National Assembly of both chambers.
All right, so it's safe to say that the PDP is on the sidelines at this moment, looking to cash in on the juicy positions. Is that what you're saying?
No, we are on the sideline to the extent that we are not canvassing for presiding officer of the House of Reps and of the Senate. We are not. To that extent, you can say we are on the sideline. But to the extent that we are going to actively participate in the process that will throw them up, we cannot be on the sideline when it comes to that.
All right, gentlemen. There's this story that has been going on and on for a while now. During this past week, the United Nations Women and WIMBIZ, that's Women in Business, asked Nigerian government to pass a bill that will allow for at least a mandatory 50% participation for women in governance. I'm sure you've come across that story. Now, before we go on a break, I'd like you to quickly speak to this. Now, there's only a female candidate for the position of Speaker in the House of Representatives. Senator Abdullahi, is this something you'd look into for the 9th Assembly, for example?
Well, you see, these are issues that when they are ripe, they are ripe. And when they are not ripe, they are not ripe. I think we need to live with some of these realities. The truth of the matter is that the evolution of political experiment is such that women are getting a grasp on it. And of course, when they're given the opportunity, they do very well. So if it is the wish of the honorable members that they want a female to preside over them, I think that will not be anything new, because already we've been fortunate to have ladies presiding over speakership at the state level. So if that is going to happen, fine. But within the context of what I'm seeing, of course, that looks very remote in this particular instance.
So you're saying...
Of course, it's something that maybe in the future it is possible.
So you're saying now is probably not the time?
Not that it is not the time because it is not the time, but based on the realities on ground. You need to look at the realities on ground as it is now. And within that context, of course, it's going to be an Herculean task.
Talking about women representation in the National Assembly, and whether you like it or not, this is a topic that is a major one, to be honest. And you mentioned that this might not be the time. The time might not be right at this point. Don't you think a lot of women folk out there will not be happy with that statement you made?
Well, it's not a question of being happy or sad. It is about the reality, because if you look at the number of those elected, election has already been concluded, and those who have been elected are known. So what I'm saying is, if you look at the number, right now we have a ranking member from the Southeast wanting to be. But like my colleague said, the normal convention is that the majority party, provides the leadership. And within this context, if you look at for the presiding officer, the gladiators and the thinking is that, of course, the zones that are in contention now, the Southeast might not. I'm not saying they can't get it, but I'm saying might not, because that is what is playing out right now. But however, it is too early for one to conclude because it is not over until it is over.
All right.
So we wait to see what happens at the inauguration.
Okay.
And I think that is the point I'm trying to highlight.
I see.
Not that I feel, they don't deserve it, or that they are not, capable of holding that office.
I see how you played it safe there. Senator Abdullahi, I like how you played it safe. But let me take on Honorable Orkajev briefly on this issue of women representation. Your party, the PDP, what is the plan for women? And from your perspective, do you think now is the time to perhaps have a woman speaker?
Like I said, the PDP as a party, to the best of my knowledge, even though I'm moving away from the House of Representatives to the Senate, where no woman has made any attempt or is making any attempt to be Senate President. But even in the House of Representatives, nothing stops her from becoming the Speaker of the House if majority of the members agree with her. Nkiruka is a very competent woman. She's been in the House since 2007, and I think she can do the job like any man can do. I just wish that members would see it that way and vote her in. But let me hasten to add that there are certain things that are not done by fiat or by law, like encouraging women. Is something that should be done by attitude, preaching to the men folk, and to let them see that that should happen. So she's the only one around, or both chambers is the only one that, to the best of my knowledge, has indicated interest to be a presiding officer. I don't know the extent to which he's carrying her campaign. I wish her luck. That's the best I can say for now.
All right.
As for other women, I agree with him when he said that it's something that will evolve. As far as representation is concerned, now we already know the number of women that are in the Senate and a number of women that are in the House of Representatives. You can't change that for now. Those who are campaigning should intensify their campaign so that every one of us will see the need against discrimination of women into political offices, especially representative capacity. Capacity.
All right, let's talk about representation now. I mean, you are representatives of the Nigerian people from your constituency to say. Now, this is for Senator Abdullahi. This is a time we're counting down to the 9th Assembly, and this perhaps is a good time to set an agenda for the Nigerian people, for the people you represent, so they can, hold you accountable, if I could use that expression. But then there seems to be some disconnect between representation, the representatives and the people. People have representatives in the National Assembly, and still they say we don't have a connection with them. We don't see the dividends of this representation. So what is the plan to ensure that this does not repeat itself in the 9th Assembly?
Well, I think I don't even agree with that conclusion you are drawing. It is not possible for a politician to have a disconnect with his people and then survive. You must have a connection with your people because they are voting you on the basis of trust. They're voting you on the basis of the fact that they have confidence in you to deliver the dividends of democracy to them. And that is why when we go through election cycles, those that, definitely the people agree with that connection, they are able to give them the mandate.
Okay.
So suffice it to say that at any rate, as we look forward to the 9th Senate, I want to tell you that, of course, we are upbeat in terms of wanting to help this country to move forward.
Okay.
And I think that is why the issue of the leadership becomes a very important question that must actually be addressed.
Definitely.
And that is why we are also rooting for somebody we believe can provide that stability.
Senator Abdullahi, Senator Abdullahi, if I may, I'd like to briefly get Honorable Okajev's reaction to that because of our time. I'd like to get his reaction to the issue of representation. An agenda for the 9th Assembly, so your people can say, oh, truly, you've done great work in the National Assembly.
Well, first, let me say, I agree with him when he said that it may not be totally correct. Well, maybe there are expectations that have not been met. But the truth of the matter is that if you go to the premises of the National Assembly on every working day, you see scores of people coming over there, to put across their grievances to the people. That in itself, for me, shows that they have the expectation that these are people who are going to who are going to help them resolve the issues that they have. In the 8th Assembly, both chambers of the National Assembly had what they call legislative agenda,
okay.
And that highlighted in almost all areas of our national life, how laws and representation and oversight tailored towards resolving the issues that were highlighted in that legislative agenda. I don't think the 9th Assembly will be any different in terms of setting up an agenda that will guide us in doing our job.
All right, Honorable Okajev.
Things could always be better. So, but I believe that Nigerians believe is the closest arm of government to the people.
Okay, I think that's a great place to leave it, Honorable Okajev, if I may. I think that's a great place to put it. It's good we're setting an agenda for the 9th Assembly. I really hate to cut you short, but I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. Honorable Emmanuel Okajev, PDP Senator-elect, and Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, a member of the APC representing Niger State in the Senate. We'd like to appreciate you for sharing your thoughts with us on the program tonight.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.